Comedy Film Festival. Our final event of the year is coming up November the 13th at the Clinton Street Theater, Portland Comedy Film Festival Fall 2022. An all new lineup of films. If you attend the event, you'll see everything from mockumentary to comedy to stand-up comedy, sketch comedy, horror comedy, romantic comedy, you name it. We got all kinds of things just to try to make you laugh. All the content is 30 minutes or less. And we also focus on our filmmakers of tomorrow, our screenwriters who are writing series episodes and films and all kinds of things. We're going to speak with one of those screenwriters who's also nominated for an award. Kate, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing today?
Oh, man, it's great to see you. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And you are nominated by the judges for the Best Dark Comedy Teleplay Award for First Ladies Club, which is super funny. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
thanks.
Yeah, the judges are very impressed with your work, and I'd love to tell everybody about it, but I'm the dude that like skips to the end and ruins the whole synopsis. So I'll let you go in your own words. What's it
Sure.
about?
Yeah. So this is the true and ridiculous story of Mary Todd Lincoln and her time in the White House. She went in with um, these ideas of really living her best life as the wife of the president, and then the Civil War happened. And her life had so many elements of just heart-wrenching tragedy that at a point it just became funny to me that so many terrible things could happen to a single person in such a short span of time. So this is a look at that, and it's also a little bit of a look at her, well, what I feel is more of her true personality versus the maligned, crazy wife of a great president reputation that she's got.
Actually, I wasn't aware of her reputation, to be honest, before.
You don't
Um,
travel in the right nerd circles.
I am. I need to get more geek. I tell you what. So how did you? I mean, you focused on this, and it seems like something really fun and quirky to write about, but there had to be some other motivation. So what inspired you to write this?
I actually spent a good portion of my career working at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C., which, as most folks know, is the site of the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. And I worked in the education department. And so I got into the real deep nerd territory about the assassination, but also I became really fascinated by Mary Lincoln and her reputation. And I also started to get really interested in first ladies as just a thing to study. So this is in part my reaction to always feeling like Mary Lincoln is maligned and wanting to sort of illuminate her personality a little bit better. But it's also it's part of a series. It's the pilot for each episode will be a look at a different first lady and telling the undertold stories. It's a chance to tell the stories from these women whose perspectives aren't often heard. They're, for good reason, usually very much overshadowed by their husbands. And I want to get, and or in the case of many people, they were the hostess without being the wife of the president. Like we've got people, we've got nieces, that's usually nieces if you're not going to be a wife of the president. But we've got a lot of folks whose stories aren't ever told, and I really interested in looking at those through a comedy lens.
All right, very interesting. And when you start coming up with the characters, I mean, obviously there's not enough records to really know all the characters in the story and how their personalities were. Are you like thinking of like existing actors in these roles, or are you kind of, what's your approach to writing these characters, especially if it's kind of based on, true people that existed at the time?
I'm really research heavy on this one. When I've written other things, it hasn't been drawn so much from history. It's drawn, from my own life or from friends or just, ideas that have interested me. But this, as much as possible, I was digging into the quirks of the real characters. And some people are just sort of um, a mashup of like historical guy. And so trying to pull just quotes that, that were historically accurate from whoever was convenient, and sort of, uh, creating more broad caricatures of that combine little pieces of historical jerks in some cases. But it, in this case, it was really more heavily researched than I normally do it. So I've tried to just really amplify what I thought was quirky about each of the characters who already existed.
Hmm.
Um, for casting, there is only one person that I had like really in mind. There's a little cameo from Andrew Jackson. That's a little flashback scene, and for some reason in my mind, I pictured him looking exactly like Seth Meyers. Everything else, I had mostly friends in mind because I would like to shoot this at some point, and so I'm thinking, who could I really actually cast?
Hmm.
Who's a good enough friend that I could be like, I will get you pizza. So it's the folks in my life who are pizza level friends who I picture in these roles.
Nice, nice. Well, very interesting. And you mentioned, that you may want to shoot this. Where are you at with the series as far as the number of episodes you may have written, or are you in pre-pro for the series? Like, what's going on with that?
It is just a fantasy right now. Would like to see how much traction I get. It's a pretty fresh script. I finished it and I submitted it to y'all. So thank you so much for having a look at it pretty early. Um, I would love to be able to get it actually shot, but I've never done that before. I've been
Hmm.
strictly a writer and then just throwing my stuff out into the ether. So this would be the first time that that I would be like, who has a camera and what about costumes? Um, but I do have outlines for, like, I feel very confident that if somebody were to be like, yes, let's move forward with this as an entire series, I've got an episode for every first lady. um Not written out obviously, but I don't, maybe not, that's not obvious, but I feel like I could write an episode for every first lady pretty easily. um Easily is not the right word, but you know what I mean. um
Sure, sure. You've got a roadmap, and that's
there's a
interesting.
roadmap, yeah.
You're going to be in a room full of a whole lot of filmmakers when you get to Portland Comedy Film Festival, and maybe you'll find some of the connections there. I One of the secrets really is watch as many of these interviews as you can, of the people that are going to be there in Portland comedy, and that way you won't walk into a room of strangers. You'll walk into a room of people and they all have their Instagrams and Twitters and stuff listed if you want to reach out to them. So we do offer that networking opportunity. The judges definitely give you the rubber stamp of approval. It's like, this has got to be made. This is awesome. So I think people are really into it.
Oh, thank you. That's a great idea. I should pre-network.
For sure, for sure. And I found that out by accident. And I did a bunch of these interviews for a festival previously. When I walked in, everyone already knew each other, and I was kind of like, "Hey, I'm the director." Everyone's like talking, so that's always fun. Well, so anything else in the future that you're working on? Are you kind of consumed by this one project, or are you working on some other stuff?
The thing I've got percolating right now is I'm working on a play called Realborn, which is about a woman who gets a realistic baby doll as a joke gift and gets very attached to it. um, so it's another dark comedy. Um, but I've got a background in theater. Part of the Ford's theater
Mm.
thing was I started out as a theater major and was an actor early on. But that's really the world that I come from. And I've written a few plays collaboratively with people before, but this is the first time that I'm like sitting down and actually like typing out a play all by myself.
Mm.
So I'm excited about that project, and it's about half of a script right now.
Okay, all right, interesting. So I'm seeing a theme. I'm seeing a pattern. With the dark humor, and that's good. Do what you do best, and we definitely have a spot for it. Our judges and definitely enjoy that type of humor. So you're in the right spot as far as Portland Comedy Film Festival. Well, is there anything else you want to add before we go today?
I just want to thank the judges. I really appreciate you having a look at all of our work, but I'm especially grateful that you liked my quirky script because it's not for everybody. It is dark humor, and I'm really pleased that that it resonated with the judges. So thank you, judges.
Yeah, good work. Well, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate you making the trip to the festival and sending us your work. So hopefully we'll see a lot more of you.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
You're very welcome. Have a good